never take me alive. I'm getting high with my 4-5. Cops only suck the time I die. Even as a youngster, causing ruckus on the back of the bus. I was a fool all through high school, kicking up dust. But now I'm labeled as a troublemaker. Who can you blame? Smoking weed up, we take away the pain. So I'm hopeless, rolling down the freeway, swerving. Don't worry, I'm about to crash upon the curb, cause my business bloody, baby. If they tried to understand me, what should I do? I had to feed my fucking family. What else could I do but be a thug? I'm slanging with the homies, fuck hanging with them phonies in the club. Got my mind on danger, never been a stranger to homicide. My city's full of gangbangers and drive-bys. Why do we die at an early age? He was so young, but still a victim of 12 gauge. I'm in Marines of a corpse, mind full of sick thoughts, and I ain't going back to court. So fuck what you thought. I'm drinking Hennessy, running from my enemies. When I live a beat 23, there's so much pain.
Kia Kamala, the first car to go from 0 to nominee in 0 votes.
I really love Venn diagrams. You know, the circles, right? 3 usually.
The Kamala is affordable because it's made with cheap foreign labor that came here illegally.
And said we're not paying them nearly enough.
And while it looks small on the outside, the interior's as roomy as a big yellow school bus.
Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right?
And best of all, the state-of-the-art GPS will take you everywhere except the southern border.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
The Kia Kamala. Critics agree it's not a smart car.
Hey everybody, welcome in. I come across that, I was like, oh, we're going to play that tonight. I hope everybody had a good Monday. Crazy Monday for me, but a good Monday. My sign's too bright again. But how is everybody? Who is in here tonight? Hey, Maga. Hey, Miss Amy. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm glad everyone's doing all right. Georgia boy, hey, good to see you. Yeah, it's been a crazy day. I hadn't really got to catch up on a whole lot, but some stuff I have. But then some of the stuff I have caught up on, I'm kind of wondering what the hell just happened there, you know? But guys, we have a couple of guests tonight. Let's welcome in, everyone. Welcome, Criminal Element in.
Hey,
Criminal, how you doing?
I was going to say it's Tuesday, but it feels like Monday. It feels like Monday.
I told y'all last night.
I've been questioning, literally, I questioned 4 times today what day it was. And I knew it was Tuesday, but I kept looking at my calendar. Like, we have one of those, like, acrylic calendars that I can, like, write the dates on every week. Or every month rather, and like what's going on and all that stuff. And I was like redoing it today, and I was like, is it really Monday or is it Tuesday? Like, what's going on? And I checked my phone. 3 different times, Gail. I'm not even kidding you. I checked my phone 3 different times while I was doing that in the span of like 45 minutes because I had not had my 3rd cup of coffee yet, and I was not with it. Okay.
I'm horrible.
And that's how I know it's Tuesday.
Well, I just said it was Monday. Hell, it's just whatever day you want to make it. It's whatever day you want to make it.
I was like, oh, it's not Monday. I know it's Tuesday.
Well, let's welcome in our other guest.
Just made
Welcome
me
in Gravel. Hey, Gravel. How are you doing, honey?
Gravel!
Good to see you.
Hey, guys.
Good to see you. Yeah, I'm saying it's Monday.
You know what? I'm with you guys. I mean, I'm like, I literally think I had to check my phone today. I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday, July 30th. I probably had to check it 3 times because like all this crap that's going on right now, I'm like,
oh my God, isn't it crazy?
It's been like a year compacted into like a week and a half. You know?
It's crazy. It is. Hey, my T, welcome in, Miss Amy. That video made me laugh earlier. You see, that's the first time I had seen it, and I was like, okay, Gravel, you're owning that. Love you. Where y'all from? And Chicken Lady.
Yeah, I will own it. I'll always admit when I'm wrong.
Exactly. And that is part of growth.
Right.
That's part of doing right. Just, hey, yeah, I fucked up. Let's move
Yep.
past it. What are we going to do now? That's how I look
Yeah.
at it. A lot of times that's how I look at it.
That's why
I do
I
have a
had to
video
laugh
tonight.
about it.
I don't
I'm
know
like,
if you
"Oh,
guys
it's
have seen
Tuesday.
this
You
video.
have no idea.
I'm not sure if you guys have seen
Struggle.
this. But it's like a 6-minute video. And like I said, when I come across it and I was listening to every bit, every word this man said, he's an investigator. And I was like, throughout the whole thing, like so many Easter eggs. And he's put the pieces together more so. And I'm going to deep dive. I know Kermit will deep dive. I know you'll deep dive. This is crazy. This is crazy. Let's just start out with it. How about that? Let's just start out with this. It's 4 minutes and 38 seconds. But listen, everybody.
What we're working on today is this very strong connection between the
for
Cheney
it.
family and the Urich family. Roger Urich. Liz Cheney calls out to the Urich family, wishes them a happy 50th anniversary. Very tight connection, reminiscent of the George Bush connection with the Hinckleys. He's having, with Barbara Bush, dinner. This is the senior Bush with Hinckley's parents as the son is shooting Ronald Reagan. And if he's successful, if the son is successful killing Ronald Reagan, George Bush becomes president. So this Cheney-Urich connection is unbelievable. Remember, this is the Roger Urich that trains at Carter Rock. It's a Navy SEAL school developing surface weapons. The idea is develop a collapsible weapon, sniper weapon, 3 times the energetics with the 408 round than you have with the 308. This helps you in assassinations if you're trying to get through bulletproof glass, right? Bulletproof glass. Where do they make bulletproof glass? Where's the last 80 years of making bulletproof glass for the DoD? Building 6. American Glass Research, unbelievably. But we're still dealing with this Roger Urich. He dies in South Carolina. 2 factories for this Cheyenne Tactical weapon. The Cheyenne Tactical weapons developed in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where Dick Cheney's a congressman, where he lives there. And he's living at the Air Force Base, or is working at the Air Force Base, transferring this technology into the civilian world, civilian sniper world. And he's at the Warren Air Force Base, right? And the person who was his classmate at Warren Air Force Base, and would be the only person maybe left to identify who he is, the real Roger Urich, right? It's Copenhaver, one of the victims of Trump's shooting. Unbelievable, but true. They're both USAF, Warren Air Force Base, Cheyenne, Wyoming. To make the matters worse, though, there's the connection with, of course, Maxwell Urich goes to high school. This Antifa and perhaps ATF agent, Maxwell Urich, goes to high school and also community college there in South Carolina before he moves on to his Antifa activities. In every state of the country now, we're finding Antifa activities in the hundreds of people, 500 in the Seattle, 500 in the action in Pittsburgh, at least 500 when he was encouraging people to do January 6th for the entrapments there. So Maxwell Urich has a whole set of things. Wrote a Substack about it, the Cheney-Urich connection, the Cheney sanction, I call it. The groundwork and predicate was all laid for this with NATO, with the Washington NATO plan. We went to Norfolk, we went to the basis of the NATO ACT command, ACT Blue. Anyway, we went to, isn't that where Hunter Biden got his BlackBerry and his Navy commission when he was, when the Congress gave him a captain's commission, or they gave him, I think it was a captain's commission in the Navy. Norfolk is the center, and we said that they could always declare Article 5. Any threat to democracy is a threat to the continuity of government. Remember, we had on July 9th the meeting where Biden mistook Zelensky for President Putin. At that same meeting, declaration of Article 5, declaration and providing the groundwork for the Cheney sanction. The Cheney sanction. The Cheney sanction is the subject of my Substack, georgewebb.substack.com. You can read more there about this incredible connection between the Urichs and the Cheneys and all the Urichs that come out of this. There's a lot of Urichs that aren't really Urichs, that want to be Urichs, that end up in the gun business, especially stealth weapons, especially sniper weapons, especially things that penetrate bulletproof glass. The other victim, by the way, is working on a plastic analog and a nanoparticle analog to try to imitate the original glass at a company called JSP Plastics. That's the guy named Corey Comparatori. where we went. Oops, he's also killed. He's also killed in the shooting. So a lot of competitors, remember his father has the plastics patent for the polymers for this indestructible type of Gorilla Glass, bulletproof glass. So we'll be following this along as we go, but it just seems like shootout on bulletproof glass aisle and plastic aisle 6. And Cheney picks up the chips.
So if you have to go back and Criminal's got a bit of a delay on hers with the internet, so it's just a little bit of a delay for her. If you go back and you watch that video, there is a lot of Easter eggs in there. Like he says, Glass Building 6. What was the building that was across from the building that was the shooter on? It was the Glass Building. And it's all, and there's patents. I mean, go back and it connects. The dots are connecting. And I think it's going to go back to Liz Cheney. I truly believe that's where it's leading. And, you know, her posse, of course.
I don't think it's going to come back to Liz Cheney, but it would be a weird thing if she were to be attributed to what just happened to Trump after all of this time of her being not in the public spotlight, right? I think it'd be a weird thing. And I know, I just used a trigger word for the liberals this week, right? Weird is the new term for Republicans. Like, whatever. I don't care. It would be a weird as fuck thing for Liz Cheney to be paired back or attributed to the assassination attempt. I truly think it would. I think it's
very plausible, though.
The person who's using a trigger word by the liberals, but like, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, well, they have.
It'd be weird.
They have a script. They transfer that script over to TikTok, you know, and then you get the Parkers and the Harry Sissons and whatnot. You know, they go there. We're on to that, but the weird thing, that just all started up, and they're all saying the same thing. The White House, I think what happens is the White House sends out a talking point and just say, hey, they're just weird. Like, we don't have anything else to say, so let's just call them a name, right? But to that video you showed,
right.
Country, so the Senate hearing occurred today. Mm-hmm. I think everybody's tracking that, right? Mm-hmm. So it was the new director of the Secret Service, acting director, and the deputy director of the FBI. They did answer some more questions. I'll give them that. But where did the gun come from?
Isn't that the $1 million question? Well,
That's
let's watch a little. Let's watch a little bit of it, and then Bravo, you can pick up after we get to watch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well,
Mr. Abate, am I saying your name right?
Yes, Senator. Thank you.
Supposedly,
you are the, Deputy Director of the FBI. Is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
Is there any doubt in your mind or in the collective mind of the FBI that President Trump was shot in the ear by a bullet fired by the assassin crooks?
Senator, there is absolutely no doubt in the FBI's mind whether former President Trump was hit with a bullet and wounded in the ear. No doubt, there never has been.
Okay.
I've been part of this investigation since the very beginning, and that has never been raised.
You're sure?
Yes.
It wasn't a space laser.
No.
It wasn't a murder hornet.
Absolutely not.
It wasn't Sasquatch.
No, Senator.
It was a bullet.
It was a bullet, Senator. 100%.
Fired by crooks.
Yes, sir.
That hit President Trump in the ear and almost killed him.
100%, Senator.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up.
You can go ahead and talk, Grab. I'm finding the one that I was looking for. That was the other one I was going to play, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I did not hear Kennedy's questioning session, but there's still two very big questions. How did he get on the building, and where did the gun come from? I actually, I was kind of, I mean, I've shown this to you before on your show. My AR, and I'm pretty proficient. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but it takes me a good 10, 15 minutes to dismantle it. And when I say that, I'm talking about cleaning it, after I shoot, and another 10 to 15 minutes to put it back together. But even when it's dismantled, because there were some things about in that questioning session about his backpack. And I can tell you right now, if it's like a JanSport backpack, I mean, maybe a hiking backpack, you could fit it in there. But, like one of those, maybe like those 3-foot bags kind of a thing, you might be able to fit it in there dismantled. But it's not making any sense. And, Mega, I mean, you're right. You said you call what they did today answering questions. What I'm saying is they answered more questions, but they're not answering the right questions.
Right.
How did
they answered a lot of the right questions, though? They did.
Correct. Yeah.
They answered a lot of the right questions. Like some of the senators on the committee were asking the correct questions. And let's not be, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's not be untransparent in the sense of the right questions were answered. Okay. And maybe I shouldn't have said like they answered the right questions. No, it might not have been the answers that we needed to hear, like we the people, but they did in fact answer them based on the questioning from certain senators. And let's be honest, they were all Republican senators, right? So Kennedy and several others, Rand Paul and so many others were like, they were asking the correct questions. They were absolutely asking, well, how many shooters do you think there were? Right? Like I even heard that as a question. I listened to the entire thing of the committee meeting and I have it on screen recording because what else am I supposed to do with my day? But it's fascinating to me that Kennedy was the only one who was like making comparisons based on the conspiracy theories that are coming out from the left on social media. Okay. And let's take a moment to appreciate this. Okay. I'm going to look at all of you viewers in the eye. All right. The fact that the liberal left is chalking this up to a staged occurrence by Trump is a conspiracy theory. And that is now ammo in your fucking belt. Okay? Okay.
I'm waiting on one to download and then I'm going to play it.
And Mega, in the question
because let's face it, we spent the last 5 years being called conspiracy theorists. Let's call them conspiracy theorists for once.
Exactly. Mega, you know what, Mega? I had not thought about that question. Damn. He asked, here's a question that should have been asked. Who decided was the place for Trump to have the rally in Butler? You know what? See, and when we
it's not so much that who decided. Right. Well, and it's not so much that it's a question of who decided where the rally was supposed to be, but it's more of the sense of who decided what vantage points would be protected during said rally.
Well,
Right?
we know that they didn't
And
care
so
to
based
protect
on
a lot of the
the
spots, they didn't care to protect so many of those spots, and they left the fence line in front of
Right.
those buildings completely unprotected for a reason. Because there's another guy we watched last night with his video
Right.
evidence. He's right there on the other side of the and he's got the buildings and everything.
Mhm.
At 5:02, there's a timestamp on it. At 5:02, the officer is pulling his weapon out, running around in front of the parking lot in the area in front of this building. Trump didn't get shot till 6:11. So our question is, who sent it? And we really didn't get the questions we needed. We really needed to know, okay, who allowed and said, okay, Trump, go on stage, knowing this was going on. Who allowed him to say, okay, go ahead on stage. You need to look there. You need to find out if they knew that there was a threat. Why did you let an ex-president and possible future president that is running on that stage to where you didn't have anything contained? I just honestly, I think I haven't seen all the questioning, and some of it, yes, was good, but there are so many holes in it. So I feel like what they tried to do is just give us a little bit so we would be happy with it and keep the rest. But I'm fixing to play a 6-minute one. Go ahead.
Well, they thought we
That's
weren't going
what
to
I
ask.
need.
They thought we were just going to accept the narrative. Oh,
Right.
there's some young 20-year-old kid and he was a psychopath and whatnot. It's like, no. We're not talking about. In country, I missed your show last night, but you know what we're not talking about just like some random dude. We're talking about a former president and a current candidate. You know, like, how does that happen?
Right.
And what I took from that, interview or whatever it was, whatever you want to call it, today, it was like, the unanswered question, how did he get an AR style rifle, which is what the FBI and Secret Service is reporting? How did he get that up onto a roof? And how did he get up onto the roof? And then, if he was reported as suspicious, why did they let Trump on stage? It's not rabbit hole conspiracy theory.
I mean, it would be one thing if they didn't have any alertness or know that there was a threat. Okay, let's just say we're doing a normal thing, and Trump gets on stage and boom, it happens, and there was no threat. They had threats. There is video evidence showing them following Crooks and that other guy. That shows them following him. And then at 5:02, dude's got his gun out.
Not just that, but during the hearing today, they admitted that they knew about him. Like, and granted, and does anybody else think it was fucking weird that we had the acting director, which I understand the acting director of the Secret Service couldn't be helped because Cheadle stepped down, whatever. But does anybody else think it's weird that it was the deputy director of the FBI answering these questions today instead of Christopher Wray, who is supposed to be our director of the FBI? Why are you not there?
I think they took him out because he put that conspiracy theory out there trying to say it was shrapnel.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And unfortunately, both of these people today let the American people down by not being prepared. And I'm going to say this. I am more prepared for the child custody case that I currently have going on between me and my ex-common law husband than these people are going in front of fucking Congress. Okay? I will hands down attest to that. All right? The amount of non-answers we saw today were absolutely unacceptable. They were not okay. And the American people deserve answers. And it has been over how many days? 17 days?
18 days.
18 days. And you still do not have the answers that the American people are entitled to because you, my friend, are employees of the American people. I don't care who you fucking are, what title you fucking have, what 3-letter agency you fucking work for, whether you're an agent, a plebe, a fucking senator, a congressman, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. You are appointed by elected officials, okay? And you are appointed by people who have been appointed by elected officials, which means that your power is subject to the American people. It does not matter what position you fucking hold. And I'm looking at you, the people of the 3-letter agencies, you, the people of our government, all right? You answer to us, the people, okay? And so if you are not telling the fucking truth, then it will be found out. And let me take it a step further. Okay, let me take it a step further because there are so many people out here like myself, like Gail, like Gravel, that all do our due diligence. We all investigate what the fuck is going on. And right now, we the people have more information than your fucking 3-letter agency, FBI, CIA, SS, the Secret Service, U.S. Secret Service, whatever the fuck you want to call yourselves, okay? We have more information than you currently do, or at least than you currently are willing to admit. So what is going on here?
We've got it's loading now. We've got this one
I'm sorry.
video.
I went on a tangent.
I know.
I'm pissed. I'm fucking pissed, man.
Country, what I'm going to say is going to sound very controversial, but
fine.
based on all these hearings I've seen, based on the evidence that's coming out, I don't necessarily care what they say. And
No.
based on the way everything is lined up, from the debate on June 27th to the A attempt on June 13th to Biden dropping out, I mean, I'm really trying to look at this objectively.
Right.
Objectively.
Right.
I think it might have been a hit.
Well, that's what I'm waiting on this other video to load. It's taking a
Or
minute.
an attempted hit.
We've got storms in our area, so they're
I truly think it was a hit.
absolutely.
And
It was a paid hit. They
yeah,
were paid to do it. He was groomed to be a goat. I know there had to be more than one shooter because when you listen to those shots, you hear the pump, pump, pump of 3, and then all of a sudden you hear,
and then you hear 5 more.
and then you hear the sniper shot, the headshot.
Right. And I think that the person who took the 2 shots that hit Trump were from the water tower, and his name was Michael Urich.
Well, let's watch this video. And
Yeah.
it's got some of the clips in it you were talking about, Gravel and Criminal.
Yeah.
There's word.
Say it.
There's a second attempt of an assassination going to happen.
A Secret Service counter
I'll see if
sniper
I can
is
hear it. I'm
predicting
sorry,
another
folks.
assassination attempt before November. In an email obtained by Real Clear Politics, a Secret Service agent with 20 years experience on the counter sniper team is announcing he's going to blow the whistle until all of his supervisors are fired. The counter sniper says his mission is to prevent another JFK-style assassination. And the only reason that hasn't happened is because they've gotten lucky. He says Secret Service leadership is corrupt and states clearly, quote, "We all should expect another assassination attempt to happen before November. We've exposed our inability to protect our leaders due to our leadership." After this email went public, it was wiped off the Secret Service servers. There's a massive cover-up underway. and it spilled over into Congress. After Cheadle resigned in disgrace, her number 2 got promoted and testified today that the Secret Service screwed up, but the local police, it was really all their fault.
30 seconds, if it's communicated directly to a counter sniper team, would that be enough time to react prior to the firing of those shots?
Senator, if we'd had that information, they would have been able to address it more quickly. It appears that that information was stuck or siloed in that state and local channel.
Were explicit instructions provided to cover the roof of the AGR building and locals just not follow it, or were those explicit instructions not provided?
It's my understanding what was communicated is that the locals had a plan and that they had been there before. We are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof, and the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
The Secret Service set the perimeter, established communications, didn't fly a drone, didn't put a counter sniper on the roof, and never even showed up to brief the locals. The local SWAT commander said Secret Service never told them to man that roof.
The accusation that somehow we were told that to be on the roof line, for instance, and that it was too hot. That's ridiculous. You know, our snipers are prepared to operate in Western Pennsylvania from anywhere from 10 degrees below zero to 90 degrees. They were prepared to be wherever they were told by Secret Service that day.
Why did the Secret Service not want that roof covered? Why? We learned today that the Secret Service was offered a drone, but turned it down. And they never even caught Crooks's drone because they had problems with their internet.
You had a drone system, but you had bandwidth problems. The bandwidth apparently was adequate for the shooter's drone, but not for the Secret Service. Can you explain that?
I have no explanation for it, sir. People fly drones all the time on the peripheries of our sites. And we go out and we talk to them and we ascertain what their intentions are. On this day in particular, because of the connectivity challenge, as you noted, there was a delay, and he flew his drone at 3:51 approximately.
You can buy a local hotspot from T-Mobile for $20. And not only that, the Biden-Harris administration spent $40 billion to wire rural America with internet. And the Secret Service doesn't have Wi-Fi in Pennsylvania? Remember, after the shooting, the FBI said they couldn't find a motive and Crooks was a registered Republican? Well, the CEO of Gab, a social media site, has just come forward with the data showing Crooks had an account where he aggressively defended Joe Biden and his border policies and his COVID lockdowns. Does he sound like a Republican? After this revelation, the FBI came out today and said Crooks wrote right-wing things online.
Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature. While the investigative team is still working to verify this account to determine if it did in fact belong to the shooter, we believe it important to share and note it today, particularly given the general absence of other information to date from social media and other sources of information that reflect on the shooter's potential motive and mindset.
Why is the FBI acting so sketchy and dishonest about Crooks's political ideology? We don't care if he's a right-winger or a left-winger. He tried to kill Trump. Why is the FBI working so hard to muddy up his philosophy? He's a Democrat donor, then he's a Republican, then he's pro-Joe Biden open borders, then he's anti-immigrant. Why are the feds treating a dead assassin so cryptically? And why can't they crack into all of his accounts? We can hack the Iranian nuclear program, but not a 20-year-old's blog? I'm not buying it. And why don't we know the name of the Secret Service site supervisor in Butler? The man who made all these wrong calls all at once, all on the same day?
Who was the lead site agent who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not
I know
been
their
relieved
name,
of
by the
duty.
way. Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility.
Why hasn't the Secret Service site supervisor for the Butler rally been suspended? Why is he still in charge of protecting politicians? Why isn't he under investigation? They're keeping him around to help do the investigation? Are they going to keep him around for Trump's next Butler rally? And the senators know the guy's name. Why hasn't the Senate subpoenaed the Secret Service site supervisor for Butler? That's the guy who they should drag in to testify under oath about what happened, not these squirrely bureaucrats. Why is everybody protecting this guy? Who is this guy? The politicians won't even tell us what the guy's name is. Something stinks. And you know what I'm talking about.
Because it is somebody we probably are very familiar with, and it's somebody that is, what if, let's hypothetical, what if it is the third man that was in charge of the DOD that dropped down and went on the Trump case?
I don't think it's that, honestly. I think this was facilitated by the left as their last hurrah.
Well, no, I believe he's involved in it because he was higher up. He left it to go work on a
I
very
don't remember the guy's name.
Starts with a
what was his name?
M something. Well, his last name starts, I think, with an M. It's a weird name. I believe they're all involved, and that's the thing. They didn't expect Trump to survive. Not at all.
Right.
They didn't even have a plan of action in place for how to react if he did survive. That's why they were scrambling.
Right.
You know,
and here's the thing.
I was going to say that. I mean, you know, I think what happened here was, and the more I keep hearing these interviews, the more I keep hearing this questioning, I'm like, this was a hit.
Yeah.
Because I personally feel they expected him not to survive that day. And he did.
Yeah.
So when you look at the big picture, the debate, the attempt, Biden drops, Kamala's in, and now they're panicked and they're trying to cover up. And I'll tell you something, country. And I mentioned this to you a couple nights ago when I was on your show. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, as a military guy, I was an air guy. I mean, like all this shit I'm hearing, they're like, oh, we didn't really know what the frequency was. And we didn't know, you know, who's on a building and so on and so forth.
Bullshit.
You know, I mean, and then I have my own personal question.
Now, they didn't let local law enforcement know. That is a fact. They were on a different channel.
Exactly. And so like if a tactical team, when whether it was Iraq or Afghanistan, when they go in to hit a target, I'll call it hit a target. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything is like laid out. You know what frequency you're on. Now, they might have their tactical net, like how they're going to move and whatnot, but you're still talking to somebody
right
who's talking to the ground force commander, you know, and then we can also, as air support, we can say, hey, I got 3 military age males here. They're on a ridge line, 3 clicks from you moving in your direction, you know, and they're like, you know, I can't say the word, but basically like shine a flashlight on them. Mm-hmm. And they're like, they're not with us. And then you set up for an attack, you know, and this as a military guy, veteran anyways, right. That's the part that doesn't make sense because we had this all, I mean, maybe not at first, but we had this all dialed in, you know. Yeah. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. They wasn't prepared. This is a botched attempted assassination on President Trump. And
it's not even that they weren't prepared.
They
like,
wouldn't scramble.
That's the thing that's frustrating me the most is it's not even that they weren't prepared. It's that they fucking knew because of it, even listening to the testimony today, it was this, well, why did he have a rangefinder? Right? And they were like, I don't know. Well,
But that wasn't a problem.
But
That
why
wasn't
is
a
that
problem.
not
for
on
it?
the list of things you can't bring to a presidential rally? Well, I don't know. Okay, but if you don't know that, then that should be a thing that is on the list of things that you cannot admit to a fucking presidential rally. Somebody who used to be president and is now running for president again. That is something that the people coming in should not be allowed to have. Why do you have a laser focused rangefinder? Why? Right? And these people did not have the answer. All right? Or they just beat around the fucking bush. All right? We, the American people, deserve the fucking answers. If you're not going to answer the fucking question, then get off of the fucking microphone. If you are not the person to answer the question, then get away. Go.
I don't think we're going to get those answers, though. I believe.
No,
that
I think this might be the time that we actually do get the answers, because even after today's hearing, there are both Democrats and Republicans calling for the answers still. Okay? And the amount of questions that were asked that could not be answered on the spot, that were left with promises of, let me get you those answers, I guarantee you they will be fulfilled.
I don't think they will. I believe even if they are, it's going to be.
I think they will. I truly think they will, and here's why. Because today you had an acting chief of the Secret Service thrust into that position because Kimberly Cheadle stepped down. All right. And she was not willing to give those answers, but the answers that this guy was willing to give, and mind you, he seems to have a lot of fucking pride for the job that he and his organization do. All right. Don't get me wrong. He has a lot of fucking pride for his job. He has a lot of pride for what the Secret Service does, but he is still an acting chief. All right. But in his answers of things that he could not answer today, he made so many more promises than what is normally seen in a committee hearing of this type. All right. And that's what makes me feel like he will do what is right by the people. All right.
Well, maybe they're putting somebody in that spot at this point now because we're tired of Ray. Maybe
right.
Maybe they're putting someone there.
And you know what's interesting though? All this aside, I mean, we all have all these questions. Still more questions than answers. But
right.
I'm not trying to wear my service on my sleeve when I say this, but it is very meticulous. It is very articulate. Right. You know, and if you hit a wrong target, like as a pilot, or you're steered onto a wrong target by a JTAC, you're immediately subject to UCMJ. You know, and I'm trying to, I guess, paint a picture or a correlation, and that's what Holly was asking today. Was that okay? So has anyone been fired? Has anyone been put on administrative leave?
Well, I've got that video. That's the one I was waiting on to download.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because
but not just that, but
subject to that.
Right. But not just that, but the concept that, so like the FBI director Christopher Wray was not there today, which I found intriguing. All right. To say the least. It was the deputy director. And for the life of me, I cannot remember his fucking name. But why was Christopher Wray not there? That's the biggest question. right now that we, the people, should be asking, and in addition to everything else that we want to know or need to know, all right, why is it not just the acting director of the Secret Service, but why is it also the deputy director of the FBI? When has that ever happened?
My personal opinion is they know that Ray wasn't going to give anything, just like the other one. Okay.
Right.
And I believe he started that conspiracy theory, and it pissed a lot of people off about it not being okay. So he dug himself a hole. And furthermore, I believe they know Ray is all used up. His words don't matter. We're sick of his shit. We don't want to hear anything else from him. So they've placed someone else in that seat to give us. Now, you got to remember, this is how they play. They'll give you enough to make you think that they're going to be doing the things. I don't trust none of them. I don't trust one of them until it should not be that hard to tell us the answers. The answers they gave us were simple. They could have done that with the other answers. They could have said, okay, yes, we have took this person, we took them away from the job. This person is still leading. This person is still protecting Trump and other people at all these events.
Right.
So why haven't you? If I did something, I would be reprimanded. If a cop beats someone, if a cop shoots someone, they are taken off with paid leave most of the time. So why isn't this same applying? Because they could have easily done that. They know the answers already. They are stonewalling. Right. They thought, well, we've got to give them something. And you know what's so funny? The answers they gave us was a preset of what questions we asked the previous Secret Service. And she knew. So what they did is they took, okay, we got an idea of what questions they're asking, the answers they want. They're not asking the right ones. They're not asking the big ones. And then we're not going to tell them if they're not asking. So we'll give them these small answers just to appease everyone, because they already had the questions from the previous questioning. That's all they did. They gave us that.
Not just that, but the questions that were already asked are, they're not null and void, but they are still on the radar of the people. And most of those questions that were already asked were not asked today.
Well,
that's why all, but most.
That's why I bring up the military thing. It's like I said, an effort to paint a correlation. I mean, if God forbid I was, or when I served, I was to shoot a friendly or shoot, unalive a child, you're immediately grounded right off the bat.
Right.
And then a complete investigation is done, and they're going to get
So then, Gravel, I do have a question for you, and this is unrelated to what we're talking about, but how do you feel about the death of Pat Tillman?
All right, so Tillman. Okay.
And for those of you who don't know who Pat Tillman is, go look it up. The Mile Higher podcast here in Denver did a expose last week on his death and how the government covered it up. And so that's why I'm asking Gravel what his opinion is on this whole situation. It matters to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So okay. Here's what I know about Tillman. I never personally met him, so let me get that on the table right now. He was an Arizona or Phoenix Cardinals safety. 9/11 happened. He's an NFL football player. He quit his NFL job. He enlisted. He became a Ranger. He ended up in a valley. I'll fast
after
forward.
9/11.
After 9/11, correct.
How convenient.
After 9/11, he ended up in a valley. Initially, the report was he was killed by friendly fire, but it turns out it was the one part that a lot of people probably may or may not know about, it wasn't just other U.S. forces. It was actually ANA, Afghanistan National Army. So he's down in a valley. They got the high ground. They think it's the enemy, and he got shot and he died. Now, here's what happened. So, because it was Pat Tillman, it was painted as he was killed by enemy fire. But the reality was he was actually, I mean, this actually breaks my heart, like what the military did to him, and to his family. Because the military made a huge mistake because they covered it up and they said he was killed by enemy fire, and that's what his family thought. And he was actually killed by friendly fire. Right. So, that is a very, very tough story for a lot of us.
It absolutely is.
I got that video loaded, guys. Now,
and that's why I asked you, is because
the cover up.
If we're gonna go that route, well, then let's talk about other cases, that could have potentially gone down that route. So if Trump's assassination attempt is going to go down that route, then let's also shed light on cases that could have been under that light, right? And so
maybe you could do a show on YouTube. I think that would be a good thing for you to do on YouTube. Is
it's on my radar.
Get some
on my radar. I
together.
have other cases that I need to start with, but this week is my goal, and I keep saying that, but other things keep getting in the way of it. But this week is my goal to start talking about political crime because it is so pertinent to what we're going on, or what we have going on, rather.
Well,
I
want to close. I want to close on that Pat Tillman.
Yeah, go for it.
Pat Tillman died serving his country, friendly fire or not.
Right.
He served his country, and as a veteran, we have no question about that. Now, what higher ups did, painting the picture and whatnot, and then it all came out. Pat Tillman died for his country.
He did.
Right.
That's it. That's it. Period. End of story. He's a hero.
Hey, Christy.
Okay,
I think the thing that gets me so much about Pat Tillman's case is that he was very much a non-religious person. And what happened after the fact was very much a religious aspect from the government standpoint. Like, there were so many people that came out after the fact and were like, he died for the sake of God and for this country, and he's in a better place. And none of his family believe any of that, not including him, up until the day he died. And that, I think that's the issue that I have most, outside of him being awarded the Silver Star, the Gold Star, whatever it was, Silver Star. Thank you. But for him to be awarded the Silver Star, he wasn't even in a situation that would merit that. And so it was more of a CYA for the American government to give him that.
Well,
as it was a truthful retelling of the events.
Yeah,
and
here's the issue: when you start getting into it's actually above Bronze Star, but when you get into Silver Star,
thank you,
Distinguished Flying Cross, Congressional Medal of Honor, the military actually and this is what uncovered it. the military actually launches, for lack of a better term, I'll call it metal investigation teams.
Right.
Where they're independent, they are actually deployed by the Inspector General of the DoD. And if you guys remember that movie, Courage Under Fire, with Denzel Washington. And
Yes, I do.
It's kind of like that, like where you go and do an investigation, and you're like, okay, here's
Wait
what
a second.
we were told, and here's what actually happened. And and that's how that whole thing blew up. And it was actually because he was awarded the Silver Star. Because once you get into that territory, now you got the DODIG involved, and they're gonna talk. I mean, they're not just gonna like make an analysis. They're gonna talk to people. They're gonna interview witnesses. You know, and that's how that whole thing kind of blew up, if you so to speak.
Right.
Oh.
Well, thank you guys.
And I'm sorry, people. I just burped into the microphone.
Oh, you're fine. I did it the other night.
I'm drinking seltzer water. It's happening. Okay.
It does. No, I hadn't seen this
I
part
agree
of
with you.
Josh Hawley. I hadn't seen this one of him. I think I saw a little excerpt of it.
Pull it. Put it up.
It's I think 5 minutes. But from what I
It's
did
probably from today, right?
Yeah, he ripped his ass. He ripped his
I
ass.
watched it. It was great.
Here we go, guys.
I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So, yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here.
And
you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed.
As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance. And as opposed to zeroing in on one,
what more do you need to investigate to know
exactly what the decision-making process was? What more do you need to investigate
to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigators to do their job. And I cannot.
A lot of people didn't do their jobs.
I cannot put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise,
what do you mean put your thumb on the scale?
You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the Secret Service.
Is it not prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days, just like you have.
Somebody to hold them accountable.
I will tell you, Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put people unfairly persecuted.
Unfairly persecuted?
Unfairly,
We've got people who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this, Senator.
You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally-goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it. Let me ask you something else. The Real Clear Politics reports this morning that you were directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel, including counter snipers, not just to this event, but over the last 2 years that President Trump's team repeatedly asked for these additional resources, and you personally were involved in denying them. Is that true?
Senator, as I stated earlier, that is not true.
So you never denied any resources to former President Trump's team?
No, not me. No, sir.
And you weren't involved in any of that? You were never involved in the decision making?
No, sir, I was not.
Let me ask you just one or two other things here quickly. Well, whistleblowers tell me that, in fact, law enforcement were stationed to be on that roof and that law enforcement abandoned their post because it was too hot. Is that accurate?
Senator, I have heard that as well. Again, they posted up inside. And I think moving forward, as I said earlier, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on roofs.
But do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was in fact? That's what the whistleblowers tells me. That may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more than you are, and you don't know, you haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
That remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you've fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Were
sir.
you offered drones?
Senator
So
Hawley.
there was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it if it was offered.
Senator.
If it was offered. You're going to tell me we're, 19 days in, and they have no idea if anyone was to be posted on that. You have logs, and you have records, and you have command center, and you were told where to go, who's going to be posted where, and a lot of these things are done ahead of time. These plans have to be projected. They many things of this nature, but he doesn't know. He knows. He doesn't want to answer. He knows every single answer to those questions. I mean, myself being in security, as long as I've been in it, when I'm posted somewhere, they already know where I'm going to be. When I do events, they already know exactly. And Gravel, you've been through this. They know. They have it all preset. They knew when this rally was going to take place. And you're going to tell me you wouldn't even make your high points is one of the first places they check and they make sure is guarded, because that's the easy access point and the most dangerous access point of kill shots. Period.
Well, here's the other thing, Country. I'm going to say this. I know I keep correlating it to the military, but when I was flying, or I was a commander or whatever, this is the part I can't get. This is another part I can't get, because it does come out in this congressional hearing or this Senate hearing that happened today. Everything we do is taped. Our flight data, our voice comm, all that. Now, it's taped, and, you submit the tapes, and if something ever comes out of it, which is actually pretty rare, to be honest with you, but it's taped. And so I cannot figure out. So, like in what was my line of work, like, let's say an innocent person, was, and it never happened with me, but let's say an innocent person was unalived, right? They'll go back. You can go back years and years and years. You can go pull that tape and see exactly like what the pilot was saying to, the ground force commander or they call him an RTO. You can go back and hear all that, and what strikes me about this whole thing, and I talked about this the other night, was that they're like, oh, we were sending like text messages to one another, and the Senate and the House, a few days ago, they're like, wait a minute. So you guys are just relying on text messages? I mean, it doesn't.
Well, I mean, if you remember when they had the first photos that they had taken, they sent those photos to that specific number they were given to send to.
Yeah, they did.
And they were trying to blame it on local law enforcement. As you listen,
right,
like pass the buck always to them. No, local law enforcement, they came to their town. Okay, they came to their town. Local law enforcement is not Secret Service. They're not trained in
No.
it. That's a whole third party of an outside company. A lot of times they hire to come in. But you had Secret Service, plenty of them, if they hadn't been yanked away to go to Jill Biden's little thing. And I find it interesting that we ain't heard shit from her. But that week before the rally, she started getting out there heavy to make it look like she was going to be campaigning for Biden. Isn't it convenient that that was the week before and the week of that she decided to get out there to where she needed Secret Service where she was at?
Of course.
She's never done that before. Never.
Not just that, but like let's look at the fundamental level here. All right. The Secret Service does in fact oversee any law enforcement in any area needing to be overseen because of said complications. Let's call them that, complications. Okay. Complications meaning Trump or Biden or Kamala Harris or whoever. All right? Whoever the Secret Service is overseeing. All right? The safety of. All right? Let's talk about that for a second, because there is so much talk over the last couple of weeks, well, Trump shouldn't have had his rallies out in the public outside. Why not? All right, why not? Because here's the thing, it doesn't matter who you are as a public candidate, as a presidential candidate, as a Senate candidate, as a Congress candidate. You should not have to inhibit the amount of places that you can have your rallies at.
Agreed.
Simply based on the fact that the Secret Service does not want or is not willing to provide these safety measures that are necessary for that venue.
Exactly.
All right. And here's the other thing. All right. From what I've been able to gather, and from what others have been able to gather, that this was it was a very safe venue. Okay, it was a very safe venue, and had the Secret Service been doing its due diligence to make sure that the local law enforcement had been up on the rooftop like they said that they were supposed to be. I'm looking into the camera. I don't care who is watching this, okay? If the Secret Service was willing to do its fucking job in securing that rooftop,
right,
okay, then this would not be a fucking issue. And I'm gonna go down both avenues here for just for giggles, shits and giggles. Okay, let's say that the Secret Service knew that this rooftop was a potential threat. All right, then then why did you say that they were in the second floor of the building? And why is that building only having one story?
Exactly.
Second question. All right. If you say that building that this man was on top of had 2 stories, why were you not in the second story? But we know that there were only 1 story, right? So why were there not agents stationed on top of that building? Okay, because you need to understand, you as Secret Service agents, if you are watching this, you need to fucking understand that we the people we know, okay? And you are the butt of every fucking joke right now because you're acting, or even not even acting. She was your chief of Secret Service, said, "Oh, well, we couldn't post up agents on that rooftop because it was slanted." You realize you are the butt of every joke right now. You have no idea the amount of jokes that you are a part of right now, being Secret Service, because of what she said. Okay? And so my question to you is, how are you going to remedy this? Are you going to come up with a specialized force specifically for slanted roofs? Because that's what the conspiracy theory community thinks you're going to come up with. Like, what is going on?
But that's why it's continuously
coming.
That's why it's continually looking as though it was all planned.
Well,
all planned.
I'm trying to look at it, and criminal, you got a good point. I mean, and actually it was said in that briefing today, the senators were asking, they're like, how do you expect people not to start conjuring up conspiracy theories? Because you guys aren't telling us anything.
Right.
I did want to say something. This whole, there was something else that was revealed today, which makes absolutely no sense to me. They said the cell phone service was down, therefore we couldn't fly a drone.
Right.
And drones,
right.
I'm not a big like comm guy or anything like that, but it's kind of like, it's called C-band. C-band, like the letter C, Charlie, band.
Right.
So when you fly a drone, your remote is communicating to your drone, and it's the most basic thing out there, like talking on a walkie-talkie, and you tune up a frequency.
But let's also specify that drone control could be a phone or whatever nowadays.
True.
It could, but you can also have a controller. And so the question I have is that their explanation for the reason the Secret Service did not have a drone out there was because the cell phone service was bad. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And that's...
No.
They know that. And that's why they're stonewalling, and they're constantly, they gave us a little bit to pacify, thinking they got somewhere, and making the American people, the average American, will be like, okay, well, we got headway, but us that see right through their bullshit, we want to know the answers to the hard questions.
Honestly, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, I think that this is going to be the camel, or the straw, rather. That's the word I'm looking for. This is the straw that is going to break the mainstream media's back. All right. My dad, I've been telling y'all, my dad is a hardcore mainstream media watcher. He watches Fox News, Newsmax, like whatever news he can get. But I'll tell you what, this whole situation, this is an assassination attempt on Trump, has really gotten his like gears turning.
I saw that the other day when he was in the car with you. He was like really into it.
I was like, who are they going to put in? He was all like, it's going to be holograms. And I was like, what? Dad, you know? But like, if anyone in the comments wants to follow my dad on TikTok, he is at Boomer Wisdom, all one word. You can follow it. I'll put out a video after this that you guys can like easily find. I'm at the Criminal Element 3. Fifth account, banned last time at 21.6 thousand followers. And it's a thing that happens, okay? So if you don't believe the censorship is happening, just know. I'm here. I'm proof. I know people who have gone through over 100 accounts, right? Kramer Says and John Harley and all of them, Harley Jackson, like Harley and John Harley are the same. Okay. Anyway, irrelevant. All right. Let's bring it back to the concept of the American people deserve to know what the fuck happened here. And there are too many questions that the narrative that they want to present cannot answer. They can't answer these questions without congressional hearings. And even with congressional hearings, we're finding out over the last like 2 hearings, what is it? 2 hearings that they've had so far. Why are these questions that the American people deserve to fucking know? Why aren't they answered?
Well, it's because why hasn't they answered anything with January 6th? Why haven't they answered anything in the past? Because they're complicit in every bit of it. And we're not going to get, that's why I say they give you a little bit, but they know with this is Trump, attempted assassination. They know somebody's going to have to come forward. Something is going to have to be arrested. There's going to have to be a whole team fired. Something has to come out of it.
They're going to try and kill whoever is willing to come forward. And so how can we, the American people, here's the issue that I have, Gail and Gravel. Like I am very much for transparency to the people. Okay. And I am having a very, 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 very hard time understanding why this is the 4th congressional hearing where we the people do not get the answers that we deserve, do not get the answers that are entitled to us, do not get the answers. And I don't care whether or not the person who is trying to give the answers is prepared or not. I don't care.
The best time to get
they
the
knew
is not be prepared.
Exactly. They knew that they had a congressional hearing. They knew that they had to provide these answers. Why are we, the American people, not subject to getting these answers right now? Why are we an afterthought? Why are we an afterthought?
We've been that criminal.
So
I get that. I get it.
Here's what I think is going on. If I could suggest.
Yeah.
So there's been a total of 3 hearings on the A10. Mm-hmm. There were 2 in Congress, 1 in oversight, 1 in judiciary.
Right.
And then today was Senate. And that was Senate Homeland. But I think what we have going on here, there is a huge fraction in the Democrat Party, deep state, whatever you want to call it. You can almost kind of align them both together.
Right.
And now they're attempting to cover their tracks.
Right.
But
Right.
but the issue is that we're onto them now. They know we're onto them now. And that's where this is getting real kind of, I hate to use the word dangerous country on your show.
No.
But,
Do it.
yeah, it's getting dangerous.
It's Rumble.
It
It's
is.
fine.
It
Yeah.
is, and I hope they've got. I mean, I'm sure Trump's already got so much security at this point for his whole entire family and himself, because it's not just Trump you have to be concerned with; it's his entire family, kids, grandkids, all
Right.
of them. You know,
Not
every bit
just
of
not just his entire family, but the entirety of the American people whom he is willing to represent. That's the word that's the word I am willing to use. Okay?
Well,
He is willing to represent the majority of the American people, and here's the thing. All right? He has taken not one but two bullets for us. All right? And the aspect of us gaining the truth of how that even happened is not on the radar of the Democratic Party. And here's another thing, all right? For all the liberals who are willing and able to listen to this podcast, you need to understand something. Okay? And I'm looking at you. There is not a single person in your party who is willing to accept your opinion right now. As of this moment in time, there is not a single person in the Democratic Party who is willing to accept your opinion via primary vote on who they should run after Joe Biden stepped down from the Democratic nomination. Okay?
Well, let's talk about Joe Biden.
That should mean something.
Let's talk about Joe Biden.
That
for a
should
minute.
mean something. Yes, let's talk about Joe Biden.
Hang on a minute. I'm going to pull that one if I can find it.
Joe
Okay.
Biden stepped down.
Hang
Your
on a minute.
entire party circumvented 14 million votes.
Hang on a second. What?
Breaking news. We just got our hands
Yeah,
on this
watch.
letter that President Biden sent to congressional Democrats as they return to Washington this week. Let me read you one of the first lines. I want you to know that despite all the...
Did he just wake up today and realize that he had dropped out? Now he's saying that he's not going to drop out?
Yeah, I've been hearing that too. And he put out this very weird,
I don't know.
bizarre, he put out this very weird, bizarre thing yesterday where he was talking about the Supreme Court, like no president should get immunity, term limits, and ethics. And I'm like, what are you? I mean, are you guys is the Democratic Party losing their minds?
I mean, you don't like the end result of what the highest court in our land, and that's it, states. So you want to go and stack the courts pretty much, and you want term limits on them, as we want term limits on all your asses.
Well, and it's not even the highest court in our land. Like the highest court in our land is the court of Pennsylvania.
Well, and
right?
don't worry about that. That will never happen. That would take
right.
a constitutional amendment. And,
but
and
if
like what Sean talks about, like convention of states, kind of, but it would take 2/3 of the states to pass a constitutional amendment. So I'm like, what are you doing? Are you trying to throw like a Hail Mary, like on your?
Absolutely, that's what they're trying to do. Absolutely, Gravel. And here's the thing, okay? This is absolutely their Hail Mary. Okay, like for the liberals watching this, you need to understand that these people are absolutely dangling this in front of you like it's a fucking carrot. All right, because they think that you are that fucking dumb. All right. And I'm not I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you. These people think you are stupid as fuck. All right. To be able to dangle this carrot in front of you, being like, we can control the Supreme Court. We can like put these term limits in. Term limits, mind you, that have never ever been on the constitutional or congressional floor before. All right. They think that they can just dangle this in front of you, even though they know they can't legally do it.
They'll try.
All right.
anything.
And this doesn't even cover the fact that you all cannot define what a fucking woman is, yet are using the argument that Kamala Harris is a woman for voting for her. All right. Like, besides the fucking point. All right. These people who are in power right now literally do not care what you fucking think, or they would not be dangling these fucking carrots in front of you. They wouldn't. And if you had any semblance of self-preservation, you would not be willing. You would not even be willing to sacrifice your potential God-given rights by our Constitution that are secured: freedom of speech, freedom of self-defense, freedom of religion, freedom of whatever the fuck else.
Right.
Security, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are all secured within those first 5 amendments alone.
But they're going to try
All
to
right,
do
of our Constitution.
They'll try to do whatever damage they can before
Absolutely.
they get out, because they're scared now. They know time is running out. I mean,
Absolutely.
Look at this. Kamala had a rally today, and she starts on the attack with Trump and the border.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it. Where's Quavo?
Are you kidding me? He's the only one who tried to stop illegals coming through and had the border up, had it where it needed to be, and almost had it built, almost had it where it needed, and policies in place, DNA testing in place for children. And what the hell is that voice? What is she? And then she had, did y'all see the twerking going on that she had, the singing and the guests? Then when they called her to come out, she wasn't even there at that one point. It was a fake audience. You notice how they don't do a wide view? They do a wide view on Trump's all over the place. They do a small, that it's always just center right there behind. They don't do behind. They don't do anybody can have a loud sounds of any kind going on. It's just so ridiculous. There was a train derailment today. Did you guys know that in Iowa? That's one hell of a train derailment.
Hey, country, can you go back to that last video with Kamala? I want to point something out.
I've already deleted it on there. I have to reload it.
Sorry to do that to you.
No, you're fine. I just have
There's
to.
something very interesting in that video. It's not even what Kamala said. Who cares what she says?
She's so full of it. They make it sound like, you notice they just do the inner shots. With Trump, they're all out showing every bit of it. It's just right there. They even called for her. The one guy, he had actually was introducing her, and she wasn't even there. Wasn't even there.
Even if you can't pull it up, I wanted to talk to it, but if you look at the audience, it's in. I'm not a racist or anything like that. It's all black people.
Yeah, I got it.
And there's like one white guy in there.
They do that purposely. That's all done by design. Every bit of it.
Yeah, it is so fake. I mean, I'm just like, what? I try to tell people this. I try to tell people this. I'm like, are you that stupid to believe that what you're seeing? And I'll use that video as an example. Do you not see what's happening here? You just basically put a bunch of black people in there to show black support, I guess. I mean, it's just...
They're trying to pull towards the community, and they're not doing a very good job at it. Because honestly, they are seeing right through the bullshit. Hang on, I'll pull it up. And Trump had the border going. He had just a little bit. He did more than ever. He can't do anything about the border when they are in control. And he's not even in office. So how is he supposed to do anything? It's always Trump. Their bullshit. Yeah. It's always Trump. Right. Even 4 years later. Here we go.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about
Country, can you pause right there?
Border.
Pause.
Yeah, I can't pause it when I got it in the.
Pause that.
Okay.
I can pull it back.
That's what I was getting at. It just doesn't look real. They're kind of just like sitting there, and they're like, clap. Say Harris.
They probably got a big sign up. It says applause. Stand up.
So
sit down.
Bizarre. It is bizarre.
Right.
It is. It's very bizarre.
It's fucking weird, is what it is.
That's our favorite word for us now. But I loved seeing Trump talk about this today. It was so, I loved seeing it. And the last part of it, it kind of made me think of him like, we're older. He's 75 now. And it just was kind of like a schoolboy with a crush.
And she learned about what happened on that field in Butler.
She was watching.
Oh, she was watching in real time?
She was watching live. It was all over the place. It was on television. It was on your network, but it was all over the place. And she was watching. I asked her that. I mean, I wasn't there. I was on the ground. And when the world started to, like, you could talk to people, I said, so what was your feeling? And she was, she can't really even talk about it.
Traumatized.
Which is okay, because that means she likes me.
No, she
loves me.
When
I loved that part. And she likes me. And she loves me. I thought that was really, really cool.
She loves me.
I really did. I thought it was cute.
But here's the thing is,
you know what,
even if what he said, I'm sorry, Gravel, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Trump.
There's a delay in between it.
Trump is a little cocky, and I get that. I mean, men can be a little cocky. I get it. And I actually think it's funny. I mean,
I thought it was like a schoolboy crush, like, he's so excited that she, I don't know. I just found it to be entertaining. I thought it was a good thing. I thought it was a really good thing. Which, of course, the media spun it in a whole nother direction.
Oh, they're going to call him a misogynist and a sexist and,
They took
all this stuff. And I'm like,
well, there was one article that was saying Trump wasn't sure if Melania loved him until he was almost assassinated. They literally took it to that level.
well, I mean, I'm like, I sit there and I think to myself, I mean, I'm 48, so 30 years from now, I'll be 78. And I'm like, I actually hope I kind of got that guy's game.
Yeah, right. I'll tell you what, Gravel, my dad is 74. And if you have even half the game that he has at 74, still married, like can still do, like, I'll tell you what, my dad and my mom and I and my kids all went and did this like 2-mile long hike
Aw.
the other day. And my 3-year-old made it the whole way. And she made it the whole way last year, but like for her to make it a second time was just like astronomical to me. It was like, oh my God, you're such a great kid. And but even for my parents, like my mom is 62. She has knee problems. She has back problems. My dad is 74. He has knee problems. He has back problems. He has plantar fasciitis in his feet. He has all sorts of other things. And myself, I have Ehlers-Danlos type 3.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And so that is known as hypermobile dysautonomia. We have, as Ehlers-Danlos type 3 patients, have joint problems and issues that I started feeling when I was like 21, right? I was told when I was in 7th grade that I would have to have knee replacements by the time that I was 21, and I still was able to climb 14ers. All right.
Mhm.
And for those of you who don't live in Colorado, 14ers are the 14,000 foot mountains that are subject to being climbed here in the state of Colorado and other places, but like 14ers are a big thing out here. I've climbed 4 of them in my lifetime. All right. And the last one was when I was 22. And it was because I could not, and my knees could not take it. And I didn't
I had my knee
realize that.
replacement.
And so I
had
got
my knee
maybe
replacement in
I got
August.
like 5,000 feet from the summit. And it turned into me trying to baby my knees and my legs because I didn't know what was going on the way back down. All right. And so for my parents at their age to be able to make that hike, even though it was like, and I'll tell you what, Rainbow Lakes is where we did our hike the other day. All right. And for those of you who are in Colorado, you know that it's a pretty easy hike. Like it's maybe an hour and 15 tops to get to the first lake. Right. And my mom and I, we took the time and we made the trek to the second lake. And the third lake is what I've been hearing about, is that's where you want to be. You can go swim in that lake. You can take pictures and all sorts of stuff. But my kids and my dad could not make it to even the second lake. And it made me so sad because I'm like, oh my God, what a beautiful view that they're all missing out on. And of course I'm like taking pictures, right? But there definitely is an age where you may not be able to do the physical things, but you can definitely fucking do the mental things so long as your brain is there. All right. And my parents are both those kinds of people. Like my mom is almost 63, 64, and she has been working for Ball Aerospace for the last 20 years, heading up their payroll department. All right. Like she is so mentally with it. Like I ask her for advice all the fucking time because I'm like, Mom, I have no idea what to do with this. Like maybe you have some insight, and most of the time she does. Okay. And even my dad is so street smart, even though he's never been part of like a gang or any of that shit. Like he is so street smart to where I'm like, Dad, what kinds of weapons could I potentially use as like fail safes when I go out? And he's all like this, and this. And he is just amazing. Okay. And so like, even though these two people, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, are not on the same age level that we would like to see for a potential presidential candidate, they still may or may not have the wherewithal to be able to answer these fundamental questions for people who are in the layman's group of men and women out here who are living paycheck to paycheck. Okay, well, hey, I live paycheck to paycheck. Donald Trump, how would you suggest that I protect myself when I'm out on the town? Going to a dive bar for karaoke. You know, like, tell me. I want to know these things. I want to know these things.
Criminal, if it makes you feel any better, this last weekend, this is down in Maricopa. It's Scottsdale. They call it Camelback Mountain. It's really not that high of a peak. The hiking trails are clearly marked.
Yeah.
These two 21-year-old girls went up there, and the temperature down there was like 115. They got to the top of the peak. They didn't take any water with them.
Oh, man.
And, one of them
That's not a good thing.
I mean, this is not like rough hiking or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
They had to call 911 and get helicoptered off the top of Camelback Mountain. I'm like, seriously, that peak is like, and so then when they got medevac down, the cops are like, why did you go up there? There were warning signs and you had no water. And they're like, well, we wanted to take some selfies.
The things we do for selfies.
And this is why I have no fucking respect for Gen Z. I don't care who you fucking are. You have no business making that hike in any way, shape, or form if you are not willing to listen to the elders that fucking came before you. Are you serious right now? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you
like doing it?
I'm sorry.
I thought it was a pretty funny story. Like literally, you need to be medevac off Camelback. Camelback is nothing.
Well, I mean, it could have turned bad real quick, you know, and people.
It could have, but it didn't. It didn't.
That's good.
Well,
I'm not even gonna look at the camera for this bullshit. But what the fuck are you thinking? Okay. If you have been studying and wanting to make this kind of hike for however many years, okay, and I can attest to this, okay? I'm gonna look into the fucking camera right now. I'm gonna look into the fucking camera right now. I have wanted to hike so many mountains that are over 14,000 feet, not even knowing that I could not make it based on my genetic disposition.
But you
all
were
right.
probably
When I
prepared.
was in 7th grade, my aunt went over to Zambia in Africa as a Peace Corps operative. All right. And we had this whole plan of let's go hike Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. All right. Mount Kilimanjaro is like 5,000 feet taller than the highest mountain in Colorado. And I grew up in Colorado. I wasn't born here, but I grew up here. And it has been a thing my entire life to be able to climb these 14,000 foot mountains. It is a rite of passage almost in Colorado. And for you to be sitting here claiming that you had no fucking knowledge of how Camelback would fucking go
Well, I asked you.
is asinine. It's asinine.
I told you about what the cops asked the fire department because they were actually at the top of the peak, and it was a trail.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a guided trail. The fire department asked them. They were like, "Why didn't you just walk down?"
They probably did.
Because we didn't have any water, sir. That is not a fucking excuse, my friend. It's not. You make it back to civilization however you can, water or not.
You fight.
I've been there. I can attest to it. I had no water coming down from Quandary Peak. My knees killed me going down. I almost died. I guarantee you, this is not an excuse. It's not.
Well,
I didn't actually almost die, but still.
I think in the end they had like rich Democrat parents because that's all Maricopa County is.
I'm sure they
They like-
did. I'm
like,
sure
oh,
their parents were the mayors of fucking
And then they had
Denver.
to do this like taxpayer funded rescue, you know, and
Dude, no, fuck
the
that
cops were
shit.
like, what?
They were
What?
like, we have scholarships. It's fine. We can climb this mountain. It'd be great.
We get a big
Our
old nice
college is
picture up
paid
there.
for. It's cool. No,
Well, now
fuck
there's
you.
a talk. Now they're in the newspapers, probably on the
I'm
news.
poor.
And in
I
the
climbed the shit for fun.
They got what they wanted. They got
Sorry.
more than a selfie. I wonder
Yeah,
if they
they
even
got
the
more than a selfie.
I wonder if they even got the selfie. Did they even get the selfie?
All I know is that I climbed the shit for fun.
Yeah,
Right.
it's probably on social media somewhere. I heard about it.
It's probably
I know some
somewhere.
people from Maricopa, and they were telling me this story because I communicate with them all the time, and in particular about the election, actually.
Yeah.
They're like, you're not going to believe this, Gravel. These two girls, they're like 21. It was two of them. I mean, it is literally like my kids could probably walk it like 5 times up and down.
Wow.
They got
Right.
to the top, and they're like,
Well, and here's the thing that bugs me, and I was saying this in sarcasm beforehand, but like so many of these kids think that they can do all of these things because they're adults now, right? And okay, well, that's all fine and fucking dandy. But when you are not willing to listen to the people that came before you and in telling you, like, hey, this is a hard peak to climb. Hey, this is a hard area to hike. Like, it is a simple fucking Google search. It is not that hard. It's one of the very few subjects that Google will not censor nowadays. Okay? Like, you do a quick Google search and you will find out all of the things that the people that came before you who climbed all of that shit came across. It is out there. it is free information. All you have to do is fucking Google it.
Well, they won't.
And
take
you're
the time
not willing to
that.
do that. You just want to take your pride and you want to go on this hike and you want to almost die. And that's fine by me because you're stupid as fuck. I'm just going to say that.
Guys, I've got to go to bed. I love this.
Yeah.
I thought I'd
Sure
end
you
it.
do.
I thought I would end it with a little bit of comedy. And
Thank
in that
you.
note, there were
I
other
love you,
hikers.
criminal.
There were other
I
hikers.
love you too.
There were other hikers on that note, country, real quick. And criminal. There were other hikers passing them, and they're like, "What's your problem?" They're like,
Water. Okay, but why didn't you bring water with you, bro? Come on.
I'm surprised I didn't ask, can I have some of your water?
"Hey, we gotta have
Come the fuck on.
we have to have some fun, right? We have to have some
Oh
fun
God,
with
yes.
the
I
show."
love it. I love it. I love
We
it. I
do.
love
We
it.
have to have some fun, but they're still stupid as fuck. All right. So anyway, country.
I love you
I love
guys.
you.
I'd love to stay up, but I gotta be up in like 5 hours.
Okay.
I
Good
hear
night.
you.
But I love you guys.
Well-
you have a great night.
Well,
You guys
if you're
have a
on
good
live on
Tuesday.
TikTok, I'll be there.
I will not be on tonight. I'm going to bed. I'm fixing to take my shower.
Thanks,
and
country.
crawl in bed.
Criminal. First time.
Criminal's frozen, or she went out.
Okay.
I love her.
Thanks for having me up, country.
Beautiful.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you,
to be with
Gravel. Always a pleasure. If you want to come on tomorrow night, if you're not busy, fine. Just let me know. I love you too, Jen. We love you too. Hey, T. But you guys, thank you for coming in, and I hope you guys have tomorrow's Wednesday. I kept thinking today was Monday, but tomorrow is Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Wednesday,
But-
July 31st.
The 31st. Man, it's going to be Christmas before we know it, you guys.
Yep.
It's going to be Christmas again before we know it. Everyone, please go get your hat. Go get your I'm Voting Felon 2020.
Time to fight back, no, they won't like that. Everywhere is somewhere, and that's where the fight's at. I think time to fight back, no, they won't like.
Go to DA Customs. Go to www.dacustoms.com. You can also call 781-389-8179. Has leather, multiple things on there, not just hats, not just t-shirts. Go take a look. You might find something you like. You might find something that your wife might like. Who knows? But with that, guys, I love everybody, and you guys have a blessed and safe weekend. And with that, Country Crazy out.